Okay, so I'm going to talk about this card here we gave you. So Terry talked about the front of it, about the pyramid and about the drinking limits here. On the outside, that's the scale that she's talking about, the readiness to change, okay? So 0 means you're not willing to do anything, and then 10 means like I'm already on it. Like as soon as we're done talking, I'm like making some changes. So he said he was at a 5 in the middle. What was her response to whenever he said, I'm at a 5?
Halfway there.
You're halfway there? Uh-huh.
And why didn't you choose 1 or 2?
And why didn't you choose a 1 or 2? What's the benefit of saying, well, why didn't you choose a 1 or 2?
To know what's driving them.
Yeah, so it's enhancing their motivation. If you show them that they're at a 5 instead of a 0, then that is going to help them feel more motivated to continue to change. So if you would have said, well, why aren't you a 10? Well, I'm like, well, I'm not ready yet. I'm thinking about it. I'm almost ready. But all of these things are happening. So whenever you talk about some things that are more positive and that are encouraging, enhancing their motivation, they're more likely to change when you start talking about it. Okay, so on the back of this card, it gives you like different little, it's a banner in different colors. So it says, raise the subject, provide feedback, enhance motivation, and negotiate plan, okay? So Terry pulled up the 5 different points of the brief intervention earlier. And essentially, it was evoke personal meaning and enhance motivation. Those really, you're going to do those in the same section of the interview, okay? So whenever you're talking about raising the subject, that's essentially just beginning the conversation. So if I'm correct, whenever you begin an interaction with a patient, usually it entails a lot of different things. Is that right? So you're doing different kinds of assessments with them, and then after you do multiple assessments, then you have a conversation. Is that right? Am I crazy? No? Okay, that's right. Okay, so essentially, whenever we're talking about raise the subject, okay, that's going to be after the first part of your interview with them, okay? So you're doing the interaction with them, okay? So you're assessing the things that you assess that I'm not aware of, okay? And then you're going to come to the end of the conversation, and then you're going to bring up the screening that they did, okay? So with the case that we're doing on Friday, you are going to have the audit questionnaire, and that is in your packet, okay? So the second page of your packet, it shows the audit. This one is not filled out. That's what it looks like. It's a 10-item questionnaire. This card is really handy because it's kind of a cheat sheet. If you're really busy and you're not really sure what to say or how to bring up the subject, you can just repeat the question that's on the card. So thank you for completing this questionnaire. Is it okay if we review your results? Okay. So as you know, that could go 2 ways. Yes or no? Yes, you move forward. So then you're at the purple. That's provide feedback. Okay. So essentially, whenever you're providing feedback, you're going to want to know what the score is on the audit questionnaire. Okay. So, for example, Jill, you have this audit we're about to do an activity with. Okay. She has this is the one that's filled out. It's at the back of your packet. Okay. I'm going to give you a minute to figure out the score for Jill. if you look at the bottom, where the table ends, that has 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're essentially gonna add up the number of times that something was circled in that column, and that's how you figure the score. Does that make sense? Okay, so I've got a 16. I have 16? Okay. So if you go even further to the bottom of the page, the M means men, the W means women, okay? So it says, it has a number 3, and then so 16 falls into 3. If you go back to the card, okay, then that shows you that she's in the harmful range. Okay, so that's 8% of the population that does this screening. She's in the harmful range. Okay, so according to these results, you're going to provide feedback, okay? So an example of the question that's on here, I recommended drinking below the low-risk limits to help prevent new health problems, okay? So you're going to want to tell a little bit more information than that because she's never seen this card and she doesn't know what the drinking limits are. So according to the NIAAA, they did studies based upon the health risk and the amount of drinking that people do, and the low-risk drinking limits for women who are below the ages of 65 are 7 drinks per week, or no more than 3 drinks per day. And it looks like here that you scored a 16 on the audit, and you drink about 2 to 3 times a week, and you typically drink 5 or 6 in a day. So what's something that you would say is a feedback to her, knowing that information? Should I repeat it?
Eating below your standard deviation.
Yes. So according to the screening information that you provided, you are drinking more than the drinking limits. And so what I would recommend to help reduce your health risk is that you would drink less, and studies have shown that if you drink below this, it minimizes the risk to your health. Okay. So, it also gives another example in here. Many patients who score in this zone have difficulty just cutting back and need to abstain. That's the question that you might use for the dependent range. So, if somebody is dependent and then they're probably less likely to be able to just cut back. It really just depends on the person. You're going to use your professional judgment and the screening tool to help decide that. Okay, so a lot of what we talked about, like using the ORS and the readiness ruler, which is the numbers on the side of the card, is part of the enhancing motivation. So this is where you're going to use your open-ended questions, your affirmations. You're going to take the screening information to help get some more information from the patient to find out what would make them, what would help them understand the benefit of reducing their alcohol use. Okay, so what do you like and what are you concerned about when it comes to alcohol or drug use? Well, I like that it relaxes me. I feel a lot more conversational when I have a couple drinks. Okay, so that's something that they like, okay? So what you don't like is that, oh, well, I realized if I have like, 5 or 6 drinks that I don't really want to get up and go to work the next morning. So that's showing one side that you like and one side that you don't like, okay? So then the next point would be, so you tell me that you like that it relaxes you. and that you don't like, so you can use your reflection there, okay? And this next suggestion on here, really, I wouldn't say that these fit back to back. They're just good examples, okay? So on a scale of 0 to 10, how ready are you to cut back? Okay, so this is something that you might say after they've shared a little bit more information with you about the risk, about what they want to do in their life. That's the readiness ruler that the provider did with Steve. Okay. Negotiate plan, that's going to include the summarization and also like what steps you might want to take. Whenever you help the patient start talking about what steps, that's going to encourage change. So then they're going to be more likely to go and do it if you actually think about it in your head. So after this, I'm going to go look online and I'm going to find out, you know, a marathon that I can participate in. So then I will force myself to start training for the marathon or something to that. Okay. So in the back, let's say you have the Jill audit. And on the back, it says for the patient to read. Okay? And then you also have one of these that says a brief observation sheet. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to break up into groups of 3. Okay? And we're going to rotate. So the first step is get into groups of 3. Okay? The second step is you need to decide who's going to be the provider the first time, who's going to be the patient, and then who's going to be the observer. Okay? After you decide that, okay, the provider is going to use the raise the subject and provide feedback. They're going to begin the brief intervention and do those 2 steps. Okay? So that's going to take about 5 minutes. So the client, you're just going to respond. If you look at the back of this, it tells you like for the patient to read. So if you're the patient, read that, and that's the scenario. If you're the provider on the front, you're going off of this information. So you know that Jill came in as a 54-year-old female with a follow-up visit related to her hypertension. Okay? And then if you're the observer, essentially you're going to break this you're going to break this 4-step feedback form into 2 steps. Okay? So while the provider is talking and the patient is responding to the provider, the observer is going to look for these things on this checklist. And then you're going to either check yes or no. Questions?
And you're going to rotate, so everyone will do all 3 rows.
Yeah, so essentially after the first person is the provider, we're going to do that for 5 minutes, okay? And then you're all going to take turns doing the provider, raising the subject, and providing feedback, okay?
5 minutes is good. Is it just
So we'll go 3 to 5 minutes. So we're going to try to stay focused. I really want to be able to have you all practice this because it's going to make your simulation a lot better on Friday. You're going to feel less anxious about it, I promise.
Are you guys doing our simulations?
Yes.
So like when we walk into a room, do we just have this and we're starting right where we are right now? Or are we like going in and saying, what brings you in today? Like what does that look like for Friday?
Yeah, so whenever you walk into the room with a patient, it's always good to say what brought you in today, something to bring up the conversation before you jump into something sensitive like the screening.
So, right, so I guess what I'm saying is they don't have another problem. This is the only thing that we're addressing on Friday.
No, they've already come in and you've already
Perfect, that's what I'm
had the other part of the physical exam
Okay,
and, yeah,
The presenting issue is high blood pressure.
yeah.
okay.
They also have
And
scored
you've
high.
already kind of dealt with that. That may be a little bit artificial, but it's the way we have to do it.
No, yeah,
In
I was
order
just,
to use the simulation time.
Right, okay.
You'll have an audit in the case, so you'll be able to see this.
Okay, great, okay.
Okay, so I'll wait until start.
How are we doing? Breaking up. Oh, here, I have one. We're all gonna do it.
What do you want to be? Right in the back.
I was saying yes.
Maybe ask why. Like start with why. The patient that she doesn't. Because I mean, because the reason for her is she feels like she was kind of worse than the basic. So you may want to know like, yeah, like, yes. Yeah, so like, can you tell me about your because for her, she goes home or she goes home to the bar and rent. So then you can ask like, then you can go out there and try to get other ways around
I'll take it. What did it in my deal?
I wanted to talk to you. Did you ask permission to
to cut down, but not split. Because to sit down would be a nine.
Did you ask her to describe her file?
I just told her she likes some
I think you just have to express concern and did you tell her? Did you go over like how to get into the lower
Start with a nine.
7 points today.
I know. That's the first one why she
Zero is I'm not doing it. Like you're gonna change to so like 3 was stopping altogether. I don't really want to stop. Also, not bad, but I just
So that's here we go.
So I would just start with like, okay, so let's start with that. Just cut down and then so like maybe one one time, maybe try to get to the 5 or 6 at one time, and we have like 2 drinks at one time. And then from there,
Okay.
go with that.
I want to have the interview. You want to be the observer?
Your son and your
Okay, welcome back to Jill. So looking at it,
Oh, no, I got it.
score, and you scored a 16. So what that means is,
Everyone had a chance to do the first 2 steps? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Have you read off the second 2?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Keep going.
just say like,
so you're 16, so we have this little point. And this is kind of based on data regarding healthy drinking habits, and the categories is pulled by healthy, risky, mental, or different healthy being the best specifically. You're 16 and you're a female, so you don't have to do that much. Oh, I told it again this time?
right, that's right.
Oh. This is at the point. Okay, you fall into 16 based on this one. So does that surprise you at all? No? So, I know this is kind of basic, but if you were just kind of try to describe this to me, how would you describe
Once each person has been the provider for all 4 steps, the raise the subject, provide feedback, and needs motivation, negotiate plan, you can go to your seats. So we can summarize, yeah. Not very much longer.
So start here, and it starts call it that may not be true.
It's fun. Really good.
Most it's 10 minutes.
So, the reason we bring it up and categorize you is to kind of see if you might be, or to kind of educate you on the dangers of drinking So,
I still
the
don't.
health category, so for women, it's 7 more 3 guys, not